We just got a new Madden 24 update a couple days ago, but there were actually more updates made to the game that EA did not let us know about. And there's also some pretty crazy changes coming to the game soon in terms of abilities and X factors that we need to talk about as well. Now, how do we know about these secret changes that EA implemented as well as these upcoming changes that'll be happening soon? Well, it's none other than Mutt Leaks, the best Madden leaker there is. Now, his name is Mutt Leaks, but he leaks stuff for the entire game, not just Ultimate Team. And this stuff really pertains more so to the game as a whole and not just Ultimate Team by itself. Now, I don't know how Mutt Leaks does this, but he pulls the info from the database somehow, some way. People even think he secretly works for EA because of some of the stuff that he winds up finding out, but he also points out a lot of bad things as well, so I don't think he actually works for EA because I don't think he would be uncovering the bad things that change with the game as well or other glitches that are possible. But this guy has literally never been wrong. Anytime he's leaked something, it's been true. He's the most reliable and there's just no doubt about it. So this is what he unveiled after the update went live. He said there were 50 new catch knockout animations added plus tuning to the existing animations, and he said they also added more organic interactions. He said they made changes to midair swats, collisions, and knockouts. They did tuning to locomotion for various positions like quarterback, ball carriers in general, offensive line, and wide receiver. Some Randy Moss assets got updated, which is an Ultimate Team thing, but there were also 17 new abilities that were staged. Staged means they're kind of in the testing and they're getting ready to go live soon, so possibly with the next update to the game. And he also went as far as to talk about what the new abilities and X factors were that are coming soon, but we'll get to that a little bit later in the video. But for now, let's talk about the stuff that's in the game right now. The 50 new catch knockout animations plus the tuning to these animations. So we saw a bunch of new ones when the game dropped. We saw even before the game that the motion capture company was recording a lot of new knockout animations this year, which can kind of be frustrating because receivers already get the ball knocked out a bunch as it is, and now they added a ton more to the game. But in this update, they pushed a lot of those new ones through that I guess weren't actually implemented. Like I said, we saw some new ones when the game dropped, but we also saw them motion capturing a ton of these before the game dropped that we haven't seen yet. So it looks like they were finally maybe cleaning some of those up and getting them ready, and those were secretly pushed through in this update, but EA didn't mention it on their website. But they also did tuning to the existing animation, so maybe that means less knockouts overall, because some of the ones that were triggering were knocking the ball out a ton, so maybe they dialed some of that back, or maybe they made them more aggressive. We don't know. All it says is tuning. But they also did something with more organic interaction, so I'm not 100% sure what that means. I would assume it means maybe stuff like less warping in certain situations, or kind of fixing some of the outcomes between ball carrier and defender, because you know sometimes you can see similar animations trigger way too often, or sometimes you don't get the most organic interaction. You get kind of a warp and you get a forced animation, so maybe they clean that up a bit. But again, I mean, that's kind of something you see more and more the longer you play. Now, really quickly, I do want to mention that we are sponsored by Underdog Fantasy once again. They are a great fantasy app, and they also have a fun pick'em game that I like to dabble in myself when I'm watching sports. And with week 1 of the NFL season coming up, they actually have a great special going on that you just can't beat. You can get Patrick Mahomes to go higher than 0.5 yards. So that means if he passes for 1 yard, which he obviously is, that's gonna hit. So all you have to do is find another prop that you like, whether it be from that game or just any other week 1 NFL game. So for example, in that same game, I'm gonna take Amon-Ra St. Brown to go higher than 77.5 yards. And if both of those hit, you can win some money. And with Mahomes being at 0.5 yards, they're just basically giving you a free play right there. So you just have to find one other thing to get right. Now, if you sign up and use my promo code RAY, R-A-Y, they'll actually double your first deposit up to $100. So you can get $100 free to play around with. So if you're interested in it, check it out. Now, in terms of the changes for the midair swats, collisions, and KOs, again, doesn't really say if they made them more aggressive or less aggressive, or if maybe if they just simply added more variation to these things, but there were some changes there. We are seeing a lot of just midair activity. A lot of midair swats have been kind of crazy this year so far, in my opinion. Like, there's some instances where DBs are really getting up to swat the ball. I mean, they're really getting up there, so maybe they dialed that back, because that was something that stuck out to me as being a little bit too aggressive, how high sometimes they're getting up to swat the ball, so maybe they made some changes there. Now, tuning to the locomotion for the ball carriers, quarterbacks, offensive line, we don't really know what that means either, but we just hope that's a good thing. Obviously, locomotion is a big area of Madden that can be hit or miss at times. Sometimes it looks good, sometimes it looks downright awful. Sometimes guys are whiffing and missing blocks because the locomotion is so bad. Sometimes in the open field, your control over the ball carrier can be bad because the locomotion is being wonky. But then at other times, the locomotion can be really smooth. It just really is a hit or miss thing at times. So if they're tuning that to make make that better, you know, that's a good thing, but we don't know specifically what they did to it. Now we're going to get into these abilities because this is some crazy stuff coming to the game, but if you are still here at this point of the video and you haven't subscribed yet, you might as well go ahead and subscribe, join the family, because I mean, you're basically already a part of the family anyway if you're watching the videos. That way you'll always be up to date with the latest Madden and football gaming news. So let's talk about these new abilities that are coming to the game soon. Now these are likely going to be for Ultimate Team and franchise mode because they do tend to share pretty much most of the same abilities and X factors, but with the regular game, regular like head-to-head if you're doing play now or online head-to-head with regular teams, sometimes these don't come to that portion of the game because those they put on specific players. So some of the existing players in the NFL could get some of these new abilities. I'm sure some of them will, but a good bit of these are probably going to be more so things that you can earn and equip in franchise mode and in Ultimate Team, where both of those modes are kind of made to be more customizable to kind of upgrade players in the way that you see fit, whereas the regular rosters for play now, that's kind of up to EA to determine who gets what ability. So this is kind of a bigger thing for the modes than anything else, but here are some of the new ones that are coming to the game soon. We have third down threat, which is better third down mid-range catching versus single coverage. On third down, receivers with this ability have a better chance to win contested catches against single coverage up to 25 yards from the line of scrimmage. So kind of something for your possession receivers, I would assume. The next one is linchpin, which gives you stronger blocking from all offensive linemen. Players with this ability grant improved blocking to the entire offensive line. So if you remember some years back, we had an ability called protected, which gave you better pass blocking to the whole O-line. This was only given to good quarterbacks, like really high-end QBs that I guess supposedly they can motivate their offensive line to, you know, work a little harder for them. But this one right here sounds like it's going to be for pass blocking and run blocking, and Mutt Leaks even specifically spoke on this and said that it kind of dials back the block shed timer. So basically it just delays how quickly the defensive line can shed versus a run or versus a pass. So I think this would be something like a QB would probably get as well. So this is a pretty interesting one. The next one is interior threat, dominant pass rush moves from the interior. So this sounds like a combo type of ability here because we already have things like El Toro, which is power moves up the middle, and then you have things like Swim Club, which gives you like the finesse move. So interior threat sounds like a combo ability where you're just going to get dominant pass rush moves in general. It can be rips, swims, or bull rushes. So kind of for guys like a Aaron Donald, for example, would have something like that. The next ability is Lurk Artist, improved and spectacular catch picks for lurking defenders. Defenders with this ability can make jumping 180-degree interceptions while lurking in a zone in the middle of the field, have a greater interception rate, and they don't get tired after interceptions. So this is another combo one. It sounds like it's kind of a combination of lurker, pick artist, and maybe acrobat all into one. That's what some of these new abilities are. They're just combo ones. So instead of having just pick artist, which gives you better interceptions and doesn't allow you to get tired after the interception, and instead of just having lurker, which gives you the spectacular catches and picks, they're just combining them all into one. So like for the absolute best ball hawks in the league, they would have something like this. Somebody like a Trayvon Diggs, for example, would probably have this. The next one is backyard QB. It gives you 4 additional hot routes and faster playmaker reactions. So this is another combo here. Basically, it's combining hot route master, which gives you the extra hot routes, and it's combining playmaker, which allows your playmaker reactions to be much more on a dime and much quicker and sharper cut. So both of those combined together for QB. So again, this is like a Patrick Mahomes ability all the way. Then you have backyard halfback, which is basically the same thing, but just for halfbacks. The halfbacks would get the additional hot routes, and they also get the running back playmaker. So this would be like Christian McCaffrey, maybe Alvin Kamara, for example. Next, there's backyard receiver, which is the same thing. It's the receiver version of this. So the receiver would get just him specifically the extra hot routes and the faster cuts. And then they also have backyard tight end coming as well. So again, the tight end version of all of those. So those are going to be pretty interesting. Like backyard tight end will probably be Travis Kelce. Backyard receiver, I mean, that could be a few different guys. Next, we have Omniscient. This highlights the user defender and third and fourth down blitzers. This is another combo one, which most of these are. So this is basically identifier mixed with blitz radar. So identifier lets you see who the user defender is on every play. It's highlighted. And then blitz radar lets you see which players are blitzing on third and fourth down. So this just combines that together. You can put this usually on QBs or on offensive linemen. Next, we have Master Tactician, which is pretty crazy. This gives you faster / bonus hot routes and quicker playmaker reactions. So this is like 3 things into one for QB. So again, this is probably like a Mahomes maybe type of thing here. So this gives you the extra hot routes. It gives you the quicker playmaker like backyard QB, but it also gives you the conductor, which lets you hot route faster and you don't have to wait as long to hot route different players. So this actually would be one of the most OP abilities we've ever seen in the game because it gives you really the 3 things that can allow you to really be a problem on offense. You get the extra hot routes, you get the best playmakers, and you get quicker hot routes so you can quick snap the ball faster after setting up unique plays. This one for like franchise and for MUT would be just insane. Next, we've got Enforcer Supreme. This grants unbreakable, demoralizing hit sticks. Defenders with this ability don't allow broken tackles, they cause heavy fatigue penalties, and they will clear a ball carrier's progress towards entering the zone when landing a hit stick. So this is another one that's a few things in one. It's kind of like Enforcer, which gives you the big hits, and it's also giving you Deflator, it sounds like, which fatigues defenders when you hit them, but it also kind of wipes their progress towards getting in the zone. So that's another combo one for the big hitting linebacker type guys. Then we also have 3 more receiver abilities. So we have short elite, mid elite, and deep elite, which are all combos. So if you know most receivers in the game, you can get short in elite or short out elite. Same for medium, same for deep. You get in and out. What these are going to do is just be a combo of both. So short elite is going to be both short in and short out. Deep elite is going to be both deep out and deep in elite combined into one. So again, your more elite short receivers like Tyreek would probably have short elite, for example. A guy like Jamar Chase might have deep elite. So these are some really interesting abilities. I think they're actually pretty fun. Again, they're probably going to be more of a MUT and franchise thing. I don't think they're going to give too many of these to regular QBs in play now. This is going to be more for those modes where you like customize and really can take things to a different level, but they are very interesting nonetheless. Now, we also have some new X factors that are coming to the game soon that MUT Leaks talked about. One is called Dual Threat. This gives you the higher chance to defeat pass blocks and disrupt catches. The most devastating defensive players often excel via versatility. When they enter the zone, they have an increased chance of defeating pass blocks and knocking catches loose. So this one sounds more of like a linebacker slash safety type of X factor because it's for guys that would both be kind of rushing the passer but also in coverage both regularly. So if they're in the zone and they're blitzing, for example, they would shed blocks pretty quickly, or versus the run, they're going to shed the run blocks quickly. But if they're in coverage on the play, they're going to disrupt the catches. So this kind of sounds like a combo X factor, which we haven't really seen combo X factors. We've seen combo abilities, but not for X factors. So what it sounds like is really what they're doing is putting together reinforcement and shutdown into one ability. So I think a guy like Derwin James would be a good example of this, right? A guy that blitzes, a guy that does shed blocks. He gets to the QB when he blitzes, but he also, can shed run blocks. He's a big, strong guy, but in coverage, he's a good defender as well. He can disrupt catches, make interceptions. So that would be an example of somebody that would be dual threat. The next X factor coming soon is Colossus. Dominant pass rush moves even versus double teams. Raw power can often be a pass rusher's greatest weapon. When these players enter the zone, this ability increases their win rate and block shed speed, even versus double team blocks. So basically, this is kind of like having unstoppable force in the zone, but it also is going to work versus double team blocks as well. I don't think this one's like too crazy, but obviously the elite pass rushers, like a guy like Aaron Donald, would have something like this potentially. And the last X factor that they said is coming soon is called Route Artist. This gives you the access to custom hot routes. Receivers with pure route running are like artists. When in the zone, their route can be built before the snap. This sounds like something brand new because this clearly isn't going to be like having Route Apprentice or Wide Receiver Apprentice where you just get 4 extra hot routes. This literally sounds like you can actually make a custom route. I don't know how that's going to work because with this X factor in particular, he said this is still not working in game, but it was updated with this patch, so they're still working on it, and perhaps this is going to release soon. So it sounds like they're going to make it to where you can make custom routes with a certain X factor ability. I don't know if that means combining just multiple routes into one, or if you can actually like draw a route somehow. I don't know how they're going to do this, but this one specifically, he said it's still not actually working, whereas the other abilities are in the game and working, and they're still kind of like doing their final tweaks to them or whatever, but this one is one that's still kind of actively being worked on. So this one is interesting. We don't know too much about it, but it sounds pretty crazy. Now, if you want to know more about what happened in the official update 2 days ago, make sure to check out this important video right here on the screen.